Hello everyone, this is Genius Yoshi, and today we're playing Bodyguards with Mickey Mouse, Musketeer Captain, looking fancy, looking good, looking foil, with a 3647. Yikes, not great stats. Bodyguard support, not great abilities, but Musketeers United. Whenever you play this character, if you shift, you draw a card for each bodyguard you have in play. That's a lot of cards, potentially. It's at least one, because Mickey Mouse is a character with Bodyguard himself. Alright. So now we have a nice payoff for playing Bodyguards. Let's see, what else do we have in terms of Bodyguard style payoffs? Well, there's another one that is quite intriguing. Not a Bodyguard himself, but Little Sean, Resourceful Outlaw. Whenever he's exerted, your characters with Bodyguard gain resist 1 and +1 lore. And Bodyguards typically have pretty solid stats, especially willpower, but they can't quest for much. So adding that +1 lore to all of your Bodyguards is a big deal. Also resist, well, they're already resistant with high willpowers, so hiding a resist 1 on top is just icing on cake. So that seems pretty good. Little John itself has fine stats for an inkable 6-drop. So you have two payoffs. Third payoff is Musketeers to Bard. Whenever you play it and your characters with Bodyguard are banished, you draw a card for each of them. Yummy in terms of card advantage, and I will be playing 0 copies of this card. Why, Yoshi? Because this card does nothing on turn 4. You play it, it sits and does nothing by itself. As opposed to Mickey, which draws cards but gives you a body on battlefield that you can do stuff with. Same thing with John. You can do stuff with the character. You can quest, it advances your position on the board. The Tabard does none of that. And one of the problems with the Musketeer deck is that you're playing a bunch of low lore-based characters. So you can't really race your opponent. You need to try and control the board, let your Bodyguards live, gain some card advantage, and eventually kind of win over time the long game, basically. In a somewhat control-ish fashion, but with just dropping big Bodyguard bodies on battlefield. And the Tabard, I feel, is just too slow. So we're going to be ignoring it this time again, and probably in future Bodyguard decks as well. So now we're looking for characters with Bodyguard. Yeah, let's start there. Simba, pretty great Bodyguard. We also have a duplicate, which I don't see here. Oh, because it's sorted by sets. There it is. Simba number 2. Kida the Royal Warrior, same as Simba. And we're playing Amber Steel because we want the 2 payoffs in Mickey and Little John, and that kind of forces our colors, which are decent Bodyguard colors anyways. Maximus is a Bodyguard that I like to play. Solid stats. Bodyguard with support. It's a pretty nice ability. One interesting thing is that Mickey has support. Maximus has support. So we're starting to get a couple of stats booster. I do like playing a couple of Namaaris in this deck because of this. First of all, she's a Bodyguard. Yes, not why we're using her, but it fits our team. Also, will trigger Mickey, and with all the support that we have, we can boost Namaari, and suddenly she can challenge pretty much anything. And I really mean anything, because she can challenge unexerted characters. I should have said ready. It says ready on the card, and it's much simpler to say ready than unexerted. Anyways, too much on that. Let's move on to more Bodyguards. So if I look Goofy, Donald, Mickey, the 3 Musketeers just feel outpaced right now. Hercules was never played even in his days. The Prince I do really like. Resist 1, 2 quester. He's one of the rare 2 questing Bodyguards, which I do really like. Alright, so now we have a decent amount of Bodyguards. Let's see what we can add. Well, let's go look at the next thing we need. So we have Bodyguards. But we have a second condition for the Musketeer Captain to be useful. We need to shift him. Otherwise, we don't get the drawing ability. I'm not sure why. Honestly, it would have been just a fair card if you would draw if you play it as a 7-drop for the Bodyguards. Nothing broken out of Mickey Mouse Musketeer Captain. But turns out we need to shift him. So let's go look at what Mickey Mouses are available. Especially in these inks. I would like my Mickey Mouse Detective. He's my shift target of excellence when we're looking for Mickey. We have the Stalwart Explorer. Bleh. We have the Playful Sorcerer. Fantastic, but we're not going to be playing Bodyguard brooms. Or are we? Not today. Then we have the Musketeer. Way too high costed. Don't want to shift on a 6-drop. Am I really going to have play this? Going to be playing some True Friends because it's one of the cheapest Mickeys we have access to. If you look, 6 way too expensive. I mean, between the Stalwart Explorer, I'm not playing locations. It's 331 Quester or 332 Quester. I'd rather go to a 2 Quester. This, too big to be a shift target. It's a fine card, just not in this deck. We have the leader of the band. I don't know, doesn't seem overly great. Which leaves the True Friend, which we'll be playing four copies of, and these 2 interesting fellows here. Mickey Mouse Standard Bearer is the Mickey Mouse I'm actually excited to play. As a 1/3 that gives Challenger, I think he's pretty good in this deck. First of all, his stats line is fine. He's a 2-drop, he's cheap, so I can shift on top of it without feeling bad about shifting over a 2-drop, as opposed to shifting on a 6-drop, which is terrible. Challenger 2, well, what's the weakness of Bodyguards? Bodyguards have high willpower, weak power. Well, Standard Bearer just gives them a big pole with a flag on. Pole with a flag? It's just a flag. A pole with a piece of paper on it that says steal. The steal flag. So are they playing Capture the Flag where you steal the flag? Does that count as stealing the flag? Thought for another day. So Challenger allows us to boost our weak powered Bodyguards, which is something I want. I want a shifting target for my Mickey. Something I want. Fits my color, is decent, is inkable. Sign me up for 4 copies of. This is a card I actually want to play here. Then the Trumpeter. I'm going to be playing 2 copies of the Trumpeter. When we played the Trumpeter deck, one thing that stuck with me is that Mickey Mouse Trumpeter is going to cheat out one big threat if he lives, which happens alright some of the time. But then your opponent's just going to shoot it down by attacking you with anything like a Lilo or a Flynn Rider. Really anything can take down a Trumpeter once it's exerted. Except if you place a big Bodyguard next to it. Well, guess what? Our deck is full of big Bodyguards and smaller Bodyguards. But we just have Bodyguards by the dozen. So Mickey Mouse Trumpeter fits both roles. He can special summon a Bodyguard, and then hopefully the Bodyguard will help it stay alive for next turn, where you can do it all over again, just like last Friday night. And it's also a nice shifting target in case of emergency for our big Mickey. You can even go activate the ability, special summon something, then shift, draw more cards off of the extra Bodyguard you've put in play. Okay, so what are we at? We have enough Mickeys. So 10 base Mickeys is good. Our uninkables, well, we have 4 because we're forced into the Mickey. We have 4 in our 4 drops, and that's why I'm only playing 2 Namaaris and 2 of the Mickey, because I don't want too many uninkable 4 drops or just too many uninkables overall. So I'm happy with the mini count. I'm happy with the defender count. What do I need? Well, ideally I'd like to have 1 drop. And in terms of 1 drops, it's always a rough thing. Captain Hook's a good option. Cinderella is a good 1 drop. But we're not going to be spamming songs, so Cinderella is not overly great here. Then we have Lilo, that's an option. Since we're playing a bunch of Bodyguard, a good old Lilo into a turn 2 Simba or Kida is still a good way to make progress towards winning the game. But the one I'm quite interested in here is Mr. Pluto. I'll be playing 4 copies of Pluto. You can also go Robin Hood, but that's a safe play. You might just win games off of Robins. But that's not our point here. I'm interested in trying out Pluto with a bunch of bodyguards because Pluto has the exact same weakness as Mickey Mouse standard bearer, Trumpeter, sorry. He calls the fanfare, and he's the first one in there with the flag. So they both go into the Mickey Mouse parade, and I guess he's the one parading. But that Mickey Mouse has the problem that he becomes very weak once he's exerted, and you have to exert to activate the ability. Pluto has the same problem. Otherwise, his ability is pretty good. A 1-drop that ramps, you're not going to get a better deal in any ink, except that he dies. But we're playing it on a bodyguard, so we get to protect our Pluto. And then, while we're playing 1-drop Pluto, we're playing something that can special summon or play for free characters, and we're playing a bodyguard deck. Can you guess what the next inclusion is? No, of course you can. It's Mr. Big Pluto. It just fits naturally in our deck. Inkable, high-costed, but we have the shift target, we have the special summoning, and he's a bodyguard. It's a natural inclusion at this point. Which brings us to 44 cards. Alright. Now, we have our core. We have our bodyguard core. What are we missing? Well, we're playing a bunch of high willpower characters that quest for not much. We need some card draw. We need some removal. Otherwise, we're going to get trampled over by, well, everything. So let's see. What kind of removal would fit well? Also, let's do a quick uninkable count. We're at 4, 8, and 12. So we're pretty high on the uninkables. Maybe we can afford a bit much. So when I'm looking for card draw and removal and I'm playing steel, I'm probably going to go after the Songs of Doom, grab your sword in a whole new world, but I'm already heavy on the uninkables. So I'm going to afford 2 grab your swords because I think it's harder to find good quality mass removal, and grab your sword is going to be the last uninkables we're going to be putting in the deck. If we're looking at our curve, 1, 2, do have a couple of 3s. We have a bit of space on 4, especially inkable space. So I was talking card draw. We're playing high willpower characters. You should be playing some Rapunzels. Still think the card is fantastic. Fills in that hole in the deck. Looking right here, we do have Smash. I like Smash in the metagame. It deals with Ursula, Deceiver of All, pretty well. And that's a must-answer threat. It's just overall a nice number to hit, hitting for 3. So I'll be playing 2 Smashes. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Just a couple. We have a couple of support, so maybe we play a pair of World's Greatest Criminal. We have Mickey and we have Maximus that can support, so we can boost our opponent's characters and banish them with World's Greatest Criminal. Nice little wombo combo there if we don't have a target. Also inkable, bit of a flex spot in the deck. And now we have a bit of removal, 2, 4. But grab your sword to smashes. Namaari's sort of removal, World's Greatest Criminal. We have some options here. In terms of card draw, we're Rapunzel, Mickey. I like a bit more card draw. And yeah, our 2 3s are pretty set, so we're looking for 5 drops mostly. Well, I'm going to go after Beast, Tragic Hero. While we still get a benefit from the freedom of Pixelborn, I'm going to be playing 4 copies of the Tragic Hero. Just nice card draw potential. And I'm looking for a high-costed character that also acts as removal. So let's go for a Tinkerbell. Pair of Tinkerbells. Just nice tinkable option. Inkable. That will round up our list. So now we have a bit of wide removal with Grab Your Swords, the Tinkerbell, some point removals between Namaari Smash and the World's Greatest Criminal, some nice draw with Rapunzel Beast and Mickey Musketeer, and the rest of our Musketeer deck still has the glue of the Musketeers and a couple of payoffs with some niceties with the Mickey Mouse and the Pluto that just synergize with their strategy and benefit from having bodyguards protecting them. The list seems glued pretty well, so I'm happy with this. And all that remains is to see how the deck performs in action with some games coming right up. We're playing against Ruby and Sapphire. As we open up with a lot of Little Johns, Kida Mickey, World's Greatest Criminal. Let's keep one John. Send back to rest. World's Greatest Criminal mine's not that useful right now. Kida is nice, so I'll keep Kida. So we find Pluto, Prince, and a second Pluto. Double Pluto is not the greatest. Thankfully, our opponent doesn't have any damage ping style removal. Just Sisus and those types of shenanigans. I'll go Pluto turn 1. How's that for ramp? One jump ahead. Opponent matches our ramp with a ramping of their own. We can activate Pluto. Play discounted Simba. Protect the squad. Think Kida, because we already have one of those bodyguards. Pluto number 2. You ramp, I ramp. Except that my ramp can't quest. What do you say about that? My ramp can also be removed by a whole lot of things, and yours can't. But my ramp can quest. That's what I like to see. Especially with a big tiger. Or one might say, a giant tiger bodyguard. Yes, I know Simba's a lion. I was a lion. As the opponent plays a Grammatala, looking for some action off the top of the deck. So we find another Simba. Simba's going to go to the ink. And we're going to activate our ramp mode for a Maximus. And Maximus can bodyguard. Simba can quest. I'm happy with that. Be prepared is the main removal that we have to worry about. Flaversham is going to eat some ice. Let's use the popsicle, so frozen food. Go along with Hiram Flaversham's taste. Still 2 ink away from a Be Prepared. Be Prepared is imminent. That is not good. Not good at all. Oh, well, we do have a nice Rapunzel play here. So let's ink our Prince. And attack the Grammatala. So we have a clean Rapunzel for 3. Just in case, well, gives us some cards. And still forces to Be Prepared. We're going to go for the questing route. As I don't think developing the board further is going to help us. Fully expect to Be Prepared. Scar's army of hyenas sweeping through the battlefield and tearing down anything that is standing or sitting or barking. Or the opponent doesn't have it. That's also an option. We'll take it. Maui. When Maui comes, we say owie. So Maui goes and hits Maximus. Hits it pretty hard. And we find a Mickey Mouse, Musketeer Captain. What do I want to play here? So I have 6 available. I could land a big Pluto. Trade in Rapunzel with Maui. Another interesting option is just to drop the small Mickey, boost a Pluto, so Pluto can trade with Maui. I really like the idea of that line, but then that means I'm at 4, 5, maybe 6. I don't have anything else overly nice to play. It's 2 + 4 type of scenario. I can replace the Pluto. That doesn't get me ahead enough. So let's ink Little John. The other option is we can go 5, 7, boost up Simba, try to take out Flaversham. We don't have enough. Challenger 2. Alright, well, let's activate it once. Let's send Simba. Simba's going to go to Maui. Make a decision, Yoshi. And I'm out of time. Took too long on that one. So I made the worst of plays. Really wanted to play that Beast Tragic Hero off of Pluto. I think that would have been a fine play. It was a little short. That's okay. We'll play it from here. Lessons learned. We're playing it slow, not trying to fall in that be prepared, as I'll say, to try and redeem myself. Turns out the be prepared was there. So my misplay actually paid off. Now I'll just land Beast. I don't overly care about landing the Pluto. I'll try to make up on cards. With this beast of a card, as long as the opponent doesn't have a Madame Medusa or a Lady Tremaine. Actually, maybe I should have inked Pluto, dropped the small Pluto as Lady Tremaine protection. Sisu comes in. Opponent keeps on inking things. Draw 2 cards off of Beast's ability, allowing us to ink one. Sisu now a 6/4. Alright, well, I see no reason to go to combat against such a card. So I'll just pass a turn. We're drawing 2 cards a turn. We're under no real pressure from the opponent. Maui comes in. Yeah, +1 for every card in my hand. Now at 7. I can play a Tinkerbell. Or just drop the big Pluto. I can also go double defender with Maximus Kida. Or shift in Kida. Nah, I see no point in shifting Kida. Well, we have a nice amount of card draw. So let's ink our Rapunzel. We have the cards. We just need stuff. So let's go with the big Pluto. Just played normally. And there's nothing else we need to do. If the opponent be prepared off of this board, we're in good shape. Opponent pretty much needed that Flaversham to try and catch up with our card advantage. There's a reason why the Tragic Hero is worth so much. I guess it draws a lot of cards when it's uncontested. And a board like this, just a couple of turns, makes a big difference. Past one Mickey, and I can't see the cards that are inked. Brawl. Opponent doesn't want to spend a brawl on Pluto. And come on, we have a friendly Pooch. Medusa. I have 2 prime targets. Opponent leaves our card advantage alone, goes after the extremely big Bodyguard. So you find a pair of world's greatest criminal. Can spend 1 on Sisu. That's 5 power or more. So Maximus in play would be quite useful to maximize our utilization. So yes, we ink a Kida. And go Maximus, normal mode. Let's take out that Sisu. Oops. Did I weaken Sisu too much? No. That's actually an interesting one. As I casted it, I went down to 3 cards. Let me know in the comments below, should this have worked? I know I sequenced things wrong. I should have just played it with the Maximus in hand. But if I have 4 cards in hand, and when I play it, Sisu's power goes down to 4, does the world's greatest criminal mind work? Another Madame Medusa, this time hitting us where it hurts, right in the card advantage section. And a brawl. Opponent takes out our small Pluto. And we find another big mouse. Alright, well, we can take out Madame Medusa with our Maximus. And land Tinkerbell. I can sing and take out the Maui. Nah, I'm gonna take out a Medusa. It's just too tempting. With our 4/5 having clear access to 4/4, especially with Tinkerbell. Having a nice combat and ping synergy coming on. Opponent comes in with a Bell that quests for 5. That can be troublesome. Especially since I don't expect Maximus to live. Maximus goes down as we find a Namaari. Can play a 3/6 Bodyguard. I think it's the best we've got right now. And start questing with Tinkerbell. Definitely not the way I want to be playing that Mickey. 3/6 supporting Bodyguard. Maleficent Dragon comes in. That hurts. Tinkerbell, I imagine, is going to bite the bullet on that one. And decides to go after the Mickey. I expect that. Flaversham Medusa going to Tinkerbell. And then Belle gets to be free. An opponent will close out the game almost instantly. Not much we can do about that. Didn't want to bodyguard that, but it doesn't matter because the opponent has lethal on the battlefield. Parameta Medusas and a Maleficent Dragon took us down. Game was looking alright. And then not so great. We're playing against Sapphire Amethyst using the Musketeer Captain. Alright, we have a Tinkerbell Kida, a pair of small Mickeys, Pluto Beast. Don't need those two small Mickeys. Do you want to keep Inkables? And maybe we do keep the Namaari into Tinkerbell. So I'll just send one Mickey back and see what fate brings to us. Fate decides to bring us a Simba. Ooh. Belle. Maleficent comes in. We do not need the second Pluto. Off to the ink pile. As we pass turn to our opponent. Cusco. It's an aggressive deck by the looks of it with Maleficent and Cusco. Quite happy to see the Cusco though. Ooh, and we find a big Mickey. That is pretty nice. Actually, we don't need both Simba and Kida. Let's ink our Simba. I've been playing more Simbas lately, so let's go Kida. And that'll be our turn. Just a nice little bodyguardette. Kida 2/3 Royal Warrior. Opponent goes Rafiki. And Maleficent is going to ignore the fact that we have a good challenger on the battlefield. And we find a big bodyguard in Maximus. I think we want to go and challenge that Maleficent. She's been getting a bit too much value for my taste. And considering our hand, I think we inked the Pluto. Could have boosted the Kida for fun and value. Not getting much more value, but you know, get the enter the battlefield ability, that doesn't matter in this particular case. Just setting up for Big Mickey coming down pretty soon as the opponent sings. Oh, hard cast, friends. And Rafiki takes down our bodyguard. 2 for 1. Take that trade almost any day. As long as I'm getting the value of 2. Find another Mickey. Alright, well, our game plan is to shift Mickey, draw a ton of cards. So our 5 drop is going to be Maximus. Let's send away Beast. I may live to regret that decision. Mickey can quest, and Namaari will come in and bodyguard Mickey. Still think Namaari is going to be good someday. There's going to be a series of cards that are going to be making that card very good. Mark my words on whatever date this video comes out. I'm so sure of that I don't even remember from which set she was. Namaari. The ability to just challenge ready characters any point in time. Let's go for Maximus. Here, don't really want to give our opponent the card, so I'm just going to quest. Our Cusco's safe. One has a lot of ink though. Somewhat low card count from both players. But we get to play our big Mickey next turn. Ooh, lucky dime. That is very dangerous. I should highlight the dime. Lucky dime. Double lore for a card. And the opponent had an uninkable they didn't like, so off to the ink. And they're in top deck mode now. Now we don't want to give our opponent the card, but we're gonna shift the Mickey. Draw 3. That's why we're playing this deck, because we get the nice little payoff. Shift the 3, 6 for 5. Draw a ton of cards. Don't really need that Kida. And that Cusco can live. Let's make that Namaari ridiculously large. 9 power. That Namaari means business. And closes the business because I don't really want to take it out on that Cusco. I mean, he looks scared. Well, now he's like a kid with popsicle and a lucky dime. Challenges Namaari, wisely so. One will pick up a card in the exchange. Fishbone Quill, and a Gumbo Pot. Opponent's looking for Tamatoa, which would hurt quite a lot. Well, this is a Mickey Mouse deck, so might as well go for it. Small Mickey. Let's try to make Namaari even larger than life. Shift Mickey, draw 4 cards. Unnecessary card draw, and the opponent resigns in the face of too many Mickey Mouses and, well, unlucky draws on their side of the field. Playing against Ruby Amethyst with the Musketeer Captain and his crew of Bodyguardians. Alright, what do we have here? We have Mickey, a special summoner Mickey, Pluto. So Mickey and Pluto we want to keep. 3 drop is fine. Let's keep a beast. Going second. Let's send 2 back and try to find an earlier play. These are not earlier plays. Alright, well, we'll play with what we have and hope that we don't lose instantly. Brawl goes to the ink. Then Rafiki comes in. Well, we don't need the second copy of the 3-drop Mickey. So off to the ink. Opponent's probably playing some control style list, as Ruby Amethyst is known for. No friends on the other side for our opponent. So we find a second Maximus. Send 1 away. Pass the turn back. Very passive game so far, which, considering our hand, is a blessing. We could not deal with an aggressive start from our opponent. Rafiki, Merlin Crab. Seems pretty standard so far. Going to hard-casted friends on the other side, just drawing some cards. Letting the monkey quest his way, hopefully not to victory. Well, that Mickey's not overly useful right now. Off to the ink, and we'll play our 3-drop. First play of the game, Vanilla Mickey from the first chapter. In case you don't know it, well, he wasn't really played in first chapter anyways. Only really serving as 3-drop shifting target for a big Mickey, Who really needs a shifting target? I should take a second to remind myself of Rafiki. Resistant to hyenas. This opponent plays Pan's Shadow, applying a whole lot more pressure. Gonna ink Maximus. And we have the choice. Either we go Mickey or we go Namaari. I think Mickey here can deal some damage. I don't know. I don't think the opponent has much of a threat. Don't really want to trade against that Rafiki, so we'll keep Mickey at the ready. At least for now. Anyways, we're playing a ton of Bodyguard, so next turn we'll be able to defend it. So we have the Trumpeter. It's going straight to the discard because Sisu. Normally you need some ice blocks, but when you're playing a 0-1, Sisu is devastating. Opponent. Okay, quest with Rafiki, bounces it back with a Minfox, Snake. That's evasive too. Bunch of evasives. Oh, might as well quest. Let's play a bigger threat in the form of Beast. Hopefully the opponent doesn't have a Madam Mim. Wait, what am I looking for? Madam Medusa, different Madam, which would ruin our day. But these few evasives are a bit troublesome. I don't have a good way to challenge them. And I opted not to play Donald, which would be a blessing right now. It's just a bunny. And Snake trades with her mouse. I mean, that's what they eat, right? Let's ink one of our little Johns. Play one. Then might as well go to quest with Beast. We need to keep the opponent off of questing. I'm looking for Steel Donald. Was he first chapter? He might have been. There it is. This is what I need. And I'm clearly not playing any copies as of right now. Something that allows my Musketeers to punch through. Although it's only Musketeers. I'm not playing that many of those anyways. More just the pure Bodyguards. Min Fox comes in, but Min Fox by herself is not good enough to take out the Beast. And I just had to say that. And the opponent decided to drop the crab. Or drop the crab hammer on us. Boom, +3. And the opponent can keep on questing. Find a small Mickey, not what we're looking for. We can Bodyguard our Pluto. Quest with John. Up to 6. The Don John's pretty nice. But our opponent's just too far ahead on lore. We can give our characters with Bodyguard resist 1 and +1. I guess with Maui and Merlin, our opponent can take out Pluto. The resist has fallen, so that'd be 6, 9. That's the trick. Then the opponent has to finish it off, because otherwise Pluto's a buddy, he's going to kick in, and he's going to start healing. As much as I want that, I don't think our opponent does. Opponent lets it go. Alright, yes, we will heal. Ooh, and we find a Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell's quite interesting here. Tinkerbell allows us to deal with Sisu. But the opponent's still on a 2-turn clock. We need to take out Merlin Crab. Don't have anything with Rush, which would be really helpful about now. So I need to do 1 combat for the Crab at least. Or just drop Tinkerbell, double quest. Yeah, maybe that's better. That takes out Sisu. Then I can quest for 5 off of John Pluto. I mean, it's not enough. But it gives the impression of being close to being enough. So we can quest for 5, go to 15. I want a Queen's Castle. Opponent is serious here. We don't have anything that really prevents our opponent from questing. Not on this style of board. And we're too far behind. Maui trades in with Pluto. Oh no, Pluto still lives. I don't think it has a ton of hit points. Well, we don't have it on board. So let's start by healing with Rapunzel, drawing some more cards. All in vain. No, I meant to ink it, but whatever. Let's do what we can. We can quest for 7. Or I can ping Merlin, take out the Shadow, take out the Queen's Castle, and lose to a mere bunny. Ah, it's quest. Let's just get the game close. 18 is as much as we can get. And because we can show off that we have more Kidas, let's do it. Opponent wins off of the Queen's Castle. We're always trailing from behind and just by a little bit too much. Bunny lives and makes it to 20. And fortunately, the Determined Defender was not good enough. We're playing against Emerald Steel, using our Bodyguards. Find Pluto, Simba, Beast, Mickey, Tinker, Prince, and Kida. A little redundant on the 2s. Don't really need the top end right now. So I'll send those 2 back. Find another Beast and a Mickey. That's fine. Kida's gonna go to the ink and we'll pass. See what you've got, opponent. Hercules. 6/5 Bodyguard resist. Cursed Merfolk comes in. Gonna send away my small Mickey. Land Mr. Simba. Threatening that Cursed Merfolk. tend to leave the Cursed Merfolk alone for too long. Afraid of that discard effect. But I think I need to answer that one. Especially since this seems to be a hyper aggressive deck. Oh yeah, we have to answer that Cursed Merfolk. No questions there. So we'll throw a Beast Tragic Hero. And land a Prince. Nice little bodyguard at our disposal. No princesses to protect, but still alright. Mr. Smee comes in. Ooh. Rapunzel's a nice one. Fortunately, I think I have to ink her. Since the Trumpeter is uninkable, I've committed to playing it. So here it goes. Mickey Mouse Trumpeter. If you're ever looking for a trumpet, ask no more, because we have the trumpet here. Ooh, that's fun. Donald Duck Buccaneer. Makes perfect sense in that deck with the Pegasi. If the opponent can win and challenge, all the characters will get +1 this turn. Well, I'm going to be activating Mickey to bring in a Pluto. Then I need a quest. But Buccaneer is going to get a free challenge, and then that's 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and he's a captain. So Smee gets him off the hook. I'll just quest anyways. I really like the Buccaneer inclusion in that aggro deck. Opponent shifts Pegasus, giving everything super evasive. Well, just evasive. Oh, opponent messes up. Attacks the wrong bodyguard. Going after the prince. Still, I don't think I have much of an option here. I can shift Mickey. Seems to be a good play. Opponent on 13. The ability to quest for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can't give a good challenge to Donald. That's what it comes down to. Let's shift our mouse. And he's not a good challenge, so Mickey can come in exerted. Shift bodyguard. Trigger, draw 4. Doesn't help us. But still, we get a draw 4. Then we have to quest for 2 with Pluto. As Pluto lives, that's 2, 4, 6, 7. Brings us to 15 next turn. And we're not playing any kind of board wipes. So do we just let the opponent do his Buccaneer thing? Nah. Let's play around it and still lose. We gotta land our Mickey. Hard aggro deck with a mid to late game plan and some sturdy challengers, a bunch of evasive characters. I like that list. We can shift the Mickey to draw more cards. Yeah, or we can do some challenges. 2, 4, 6, 7. Yeah, you can get a 15. Let's just draw more cards. Shifting Mickey on top of Mickey because we can. And draw a mid-full of new cards that are completely useless to us. And take out the Buccaneer. Nah, let's let the Buccaneer do his thing. Oh yes, support. I was wondering why the trigger. I can play a puppy. Maybe the puppy eyes are going to stop the opponent from winning. Unlikely to impossible, but you never know. And I'll give the opponent the option of finishing the game however they want it. It's going to be Pegasus who crosses the finish line. 21 to 15 as we get out aggroed into oblivion. We're playing against Sapphire Ruby, using our Musketeers and Bodyguards, mostly Bodyguards. As we find a pair of Plutos right off the bat, making Namaari Simba. Well, we don't want a double Pluto. Going second, let's keep this. That sounds interesting. So we find a big beast. Greetings back at you. Opponent inks a Tamatoa. Not hiding their game plan any bit. Opening up with a popsicle. Items it is for our opponent. So we pick up a 3-drop Mickey, which is of very little interest to me in the current hand. I'll land Puppy. Puppy of Doom. Look at this friendly Pooch. Ready to let the ink roll in. Or giving us good dog discount. Flaversham to the ink. That is not looking good for us. And the Lumiere 2/2. The other characters get +1 power. That's an interesting choice. We're gonna jump 1 ink. Ink that Simba. And go for the turn 2 Prince. Bodyguarding, of course, our friendly Pooch. Now that was a Rise of Floodborn card, if I remember. The Prince never gives up. 1/3 Bodyguard resist 2 Quester. Still solid today. 4 sets in. Ooh, great Stone Dragon. Love it. Does our opponent have any characters in discard? No. But Lumiere is sure to join. What do we want to play now? Kind of looking for a window of opportunity to play the second Pluto, since we have to. Prince is gonna quest, I think, or we go Mickey, boost the Prince, take out Lumiere. Then the opponent gets to ink it with a Great Stone, which I would rather avoid. So I think it's gonna be Kida into Namaari is the play here. Non-bodyguard with the Namaari. Prince will bodyguard. I'll pass the turn back. Now we have a nice position where we are holding a Namaari in play with a Mickey Mouse. Steadfast Standard Bearer. Standard Bearer? That sounds pretty lame. I mean, there's so many Mickeys. Eventually you run out of words. Mickey Mouse, Cockroach Exterminator, Mickey Mouse, Rice Krispies Eater, You just have to improvise. Now Lumiere can't even sacrifice itself, because our only bodyguard that's exerted is the prince. Might as well quest. And we find a beast. So we have two plays here. We can either ink Mickey and drop a tragic hero, or we can send Namaari at Flaversham with a Mickey. That's Ruby. It's mostly point removal they have. And they're not quite at Medusa Ink yet. So maybe I go this route. Ink a beast. Play a beast. And then Namaari can poke at Flaversham. Next turn we can take it out with Mickey. And you can just quest. Although Lumiere is going to take out Namaari. Yeah, that wasn't the best. As long as Beast lives, we're in a fine spot. Sisu comes in. Should highlight Sisu. A little less known at this point, although fairly popular so far with Ursula's return. Getting +1 for each card in my hand. In multiplayer, that thing gets pretty big. In opponent's hands. And he set it up plural too. Lumiere really should have challenged at Namaari. I think that was a mistake. Alright, we pick up an extra card off of Beast, which is nice. Can take out Flynn. Or take out the Sisu, actually. But how do we do it? Oh, we have a grab your sword, which also simplifies things quite a bit. So we grab your sword, that's out, that lives. One power can take it out with Namaari, or we can take out Sisu with Namaari. And Flaversham lives, I guess. I don't like letting Flaversham live. Oh well. Otherwise I can hardcast it, but I feel like I have to sing it. It's too good value to pass up. Can also just take out Flaversham. Live Sisu. Let Sisu live. Yeah, let Sisu live. Ink a Mickey and send Mr. Little John onto the board. Go to quest, and Little John will come in. Little John turning our bodyguards into Mighty Morphin Bodyguards. Opponent quests off of Sisu. And now the opponent can start inking stuff from the discard and reach unholy amounts of ink. Question is, do they have the cards? And by cards, I really mean to be prepared, because our board is pretty strong. Although Maui will do short work of that. Opponent on 7. It really, really smells like a be prepared. Not gonna lie. I really wish that Pluto was inkable. I can go 2, 3, 4 if we wanted to. We can just keep more characters alive. Send Little John to Sisu. Ink Prince. Play Prince. Then next turn, if we draw an Inkable, we go Pluto. Now, I don't think I want to commit more to the board. So I'm just gonna... I need to get rid of a card. Gonna Ink a Prince. Now Sisu's down to 4, so Little John can take it out. We boost Namaari to have 1 resist. And I get a quest. Quest with the squad. Maui has to challenge our bodyguarding Namaari with 1 resist. Just trying to guard myself against Be Prepared here. And we still have the beast. Okay. There it is. Be prepared. And we find a Mickey Mouse. I'm very afraid of Madame Medusa, so I'm going to land the Mickey. With no ability. Not really how I want to play it. It's a big enough threat that it demands an answer. But if the opponent takes it out, then I can land the more threatening Pluto. Medusa. Right on time. Musketeer Captain leading the charge into oblivion. Now we can go Pluto Beast. Lady Tremaine Guard. Maleficent Dragon would hurt. Or another Madame Medusa. Which are both quite likely, to be honest. But the opponents spent one of their removal. Small Sisu. Not a Tremaine, not a Tremaine, not a Tremaine. As I'll highlight the small Sisu. 1/1 evasive. Banish a weak character. And it's a super goof. Okay. We draw 2 cards off of the beast. Unfortunately, beast stats just don't line up very well. I want a 4-powered attacker. Little John slightly superior at that. Actually, they're both kind of the same. Send over Maximus. I think we quest the beast here. The biggest problem is if the opponent attacks with Medusa and then sacrifices Sisu in combat. Then maybe I should have bodyguarded with Maximus in retrospect. It's unlikely to matter, but probably should have bodyguarded. Makes our opponent's life a little harder. As I was mentioning, doesn't really matter. As the big bad Maleficent comes in and roasts the day. Where's our Be Prepared? In the drawer next to other cards of ruby ink. Alright, well we can take out Medusa. Playing on back foot now. Slender Pluto. Alright, the superhero dog against the monstrous dragon. Bets are in. I'm betting on dragon. Unfortunately. Distract. And brawl. That'll do it. I got distracted. I didn't see that coming. That's very good. Very, very good. Distract Brawl. A combo coming near you. And a lot of flavor shams and forms. Where's the Brawl? Just banish a weak character. Cheap removal spell. Flavor sham comes in. All the characters have already been eaten, so might as well trade it in for some cards. And a Lumiere comes back. I guess Lumiere is there to counter opposing Sisu decks. And the opponent can quest the victory, so drop her hand on the board. Pass the turn back and give the handshake. As the opponent takes us out, the Be Prepared, turn the tables, and a series of Meta Medusa and Maleficent Dragon will just close out the game. And there's not much we can do about that. Closing out the game any Ruby Sapphire usual way. Good game, opponent. It's now time for deck debrief. So we've glued our bodyguards pretty well together with the payoffs and with some of these other characters that support them, have a nice mix of draw and removal, which means that we have a nice consistent game plan of losing. The deck is pretty bad because we don't quest fast enough to compete with the aggro decks, and we don't have quite enough removal to deal with them. The 2 copies of Grab Your Sword and Tinkerbell just aren't enough, and they aren't hitting fast enough. And our bodyguards just get ignored while the opponent's questing and puts up bodyguard of their own, and we can't punch through a Simba, or it becomes difficult to do so. So we get out-tempoed by the aggro deck, especially with evasives. There's not much we can do against some Pegasi and evasive characters that just make our life harder. And when we get to control, we have the opposite problem. We're just not questing fast enough. We're not challenging enough. Really, we're just putting sitting ducks that don't do very much. We're probably just playing too many bodyguards. And having payoffs for the bodyguards be just so expensive with Mickey and Little John makes it quite tough on the deck. So I would not recommend playing this list. It's a watch one and put away type of video. I still hope that you've enjoyed it. If we were to improve the list, well, I think we need to trim down the bodyguards. Honestly, Mickey Mouse Musketeer Captain is disappointing. It's too expensive as 7-drop, and having to shift to draw the cards doesn't feel too great. Maybe it's a type of deck where we ignore the high-costed bodyguards like Namaari, Maximus, ignore the Little John, and go more for the cheap bodyguards, and then try to shift into Mickey and use the support. I don't know. Overall, it's probably as good as we can get building around Mickey Mouse, and to improve the deck, we need to cut the bodyguards, put some more aggressive options like the 1-drop Lilo. But now we're no longer playing a bodyguard deck. We can go the Tabard route, but the deck's weakness is that it's too slow, so playing a slower card is certainly not going to help. The best cards of the deck are the cards that are strong on their own, like the Rapunzels. The Beast Tragic Hero has been paying off quite well, and it's not a card that fits the team. So bodyguards are to be sprinkled and not assembled together, unlike the Avengers. And that's what I'll say about the bodyguards deck. Maybe there's going to be more payoffs in the future sets, better bodyguards, or maybe a way to give them a bit more power or the ability to challenge ready characters more. If we had that kind of removal effect, and maybe I needed the bodyguard, the Donald Duck that allows me to challenge evasive. Maybe with that and going heavier on the Namaaris and trying to challenge these ready evasive characters, we might have an angle to tackle these aggro decks. Completely lose the control. But it's the type of deck where we're going to need to pick our poison and pick our target. And if we're targeting aggro decks and we want to match their pace, maybe with a couple of cheap questers like Lilo, use the Prince who never gives up, and keep the bodyguards like Kida, Simba, Namaari, and then cut all of the high-costed stuff. Pluto, Maximus, John, Tinkerbell. Maybe you can afford to play a couple of Mickey Mouse Musketeer Captains. And then you just go wide with bodyguards, shift a Mickey on turn 5, and that's how you refuel your hand to keep going. After playing a few games with it, that would be my angle to try next. So if you're looking to, if you've enjoyed this bodyguard video and you want to see another bodyguard video, let me know in the comments below whether you want me to iterate on this and try to make it better. Otherwise, let me know what you'd like to see next or in the future, as there's a lot of fun cards, a lot of synergies, and cool combos with Ursula's return and even into the Inklands, or some older cards that just have been enabled by these newer ones. So let me know what you'd like to see in the comments below. I like to hear everyone's feedback, and I try to respond to comments as much as I can. And on that note, I'll wish you all a great day. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.